And when the elections are held in Egypt, predictably the Ikhwan is going to sweep the polls. And you're going to have an Islamic government in Egypt. You're going to hear the drum beating. Oh yes, you're going to hear the drum beating from those who see with only one eye. And then the Western world is going to say, well, what about Sharia? Huh? You know how they speak about people, they say, you guys. We don't use that language. You guys have been saying for so long, you want Sharia. Well, go ahead and enforce your Sharia now. Come on, what you not doing, man? And then the Islamic government in Egypt announces, Sharia is now enforced in Egypt. That's what they're waiting for. And then the test will come. When a parent of a 6-year-old girl, Egyptian girl, said, no, 6-year-old child, rather, girl child, comes to the court for permission for a marriage certificate with a man who is 55 years of age, and asks for the marriage certificate. Of course, CNN has to be there, and Al Jazeera has to be there, the New York Times has to be there, the Washington Post has to be there. The whole world is going to be watching that. And because of an incapacity to recognize that the Quran is the supreme authority in Islam, and the Quran sits in judgment over the hadiths and not vice versa. And in the same way that there was corruption of preceding scriptures, like the Kaaba was there and they took it out, so too you cannot corrupt the Quran, but you could fabricate a hadith. Oh yes, you can. So because of an incapacity to recognize the authority of the Quran and the status of the Quran sitting in judgment over the hadith, and therefore to be able to recognize inconsistency between hadith and Quran, I expect the Egyptian court to say yes, permissible. We just gave a lecture in Indonesia at an institution of Islamic learning, but 200 students present. And at the end of the lecture we had lunch with the head of the institution. And the head of the institution had no problem saying to me, Jais, permissible. Now the Australian government made it a law in Australia that if an Australian goes abroad and has sexual relations with a child, he can be arrested in Australia for a crime committed outside of Australia. But now, it's not a crime anymore. You can just come over to the world of Islam, wherever the Sharia is enforced, and you can marry a 5-year-old girl. And you can marry a 6-year-old girl, and you can take her home with you. She is your wife. No one is there to come into the home to see what you're doing with her. This is the shame, and this is the disgrace that is coming tomorrow. Because Nabi Muhammad ﷺ never married Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. No marriage certificate, no marriage ceremony ever took place. Never. What happened? And it's there in the seerah. What happened is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicated that He had chosen her for him as his wife. So he had no choice in the matter. He never married her. She had no choice in the matter. A marriage ceremony is not valid if a girl has no choice in the matter. He never married. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent that communication when she was 1 year old. Not 6, 1. He could have sent down that communication when she was 1 month old. Because He is the Creator. But it is unlawful, it is haram to have sexual relations with a girl before she reaches to being a woman. And that can be established from the Quran. If it is haram to have sexual relations with a girl before she becomes a woman, how can you marry her before she has become a woman? Tomorrow it's coming to Egypt. And when it is broadcast all over the world on every television channel, Muslims are going to hang their heads in shame. They're going to feel as though they're the laughing stock of the world. And many Muslims are going to leave Islam tomorrow. So when the communication came, Aisha simply had to remain in her parents' home until she became a woman. And when she became a woman, she then went to the household of her husband. Is there anything wrong with that? Before this strange civilization came, all through the world, girls were married shortly after they became women. And what age did Maryam have? Alayha salam. What was her age when the angel came to her and said, you're going to have a baby boy? And she asked, how can I have a baby boy when no man has ever touched me? She had just become a woman. That was the age. And so, we are now approaching a moment, and this is only one, the marriage of a 6-year-old. There are other time bombs waiting to explode, but we do not have the time for that.